If you've ever loaded up an EV for a summer road trip, you've probably had a moment like this one. The luggage is packed, the bikes are mounted, and maybe you even got a roof box. You set the destination in your navigation and you look at your range estimate. Am I good? Can I make it? The weather, cargo you're carrying, and speed all have a bigger effect on range than you might think. In fact, range variances come from all the little things that make summer road tripping different from your normal commute. And if you're not accounting for all of them, the charging stop you thought you'd reach comfortably can suddenly get a lot more interesting. The funny thing is that most people immediately turn their focus to the battery. How big is it? How much range does this car have? Or how many miles is it rated for? And those things matter when you're heading out on that summer vacation or warm weather road trip. But once you're actually on the road, some of the biggest changes in range have nothing to do with the battery at all. So if you're planning a summer road trip, here are some of the biggest range thieves you might encounter, and more importantly, what you can do about them. We'll start with the one that you might not think about, and it's not speed. It's a big one, and it's something you can't even see. It's the wind. Most people understand that driving faster reduces range. What many drivers don't realize is that a strong headwind effectively makes the car work as if it's traveling faster than it actually is. If you're driving 75 miles per hour into a 20-mile-per-hour headwind, the car is pushing through the air as though it's traveling 95. And that matters, and it matters a lot. I've seen drivers obsess over battery percentages while completely ignoring the weather forecast. Then they wonder why a route that looked easy suddenly becomes a little stressful. So the best advice is to check the forecast, including wind speeds, before you leave. And if conditions are worse than expected, reducing your speed by even a few miles per hour can often recover more range than people think. And sometimes that wind comes ahead or after a good rain. And rain affects range in a few different ways. The tires have to push water out of the way, which increases rolling resistance, and because visibility gets worse, you're also less able to keep your consistent driving. You speed up, you slow down, and you adjust frequently based on conditions. Plus, if you're dealing with interior humidity, the HVAC system may be working harder too. By themselves, none of these effects are very dramatic, but they can stack. And when you're already operating near the limits of your planned charging stop, those small changes start to matter. But the solution isn't complicated. Build a little extra margin into your plan. And if the weather turns ugly, don't wait until you're nervous to adjust your charging strategy. Now, summer wouldn't be summer without the heat. Winter gets all the attention because winter range loss is real, but summer isn't free. When temperatures climb, your car is spending energy cooling both the cabin and the battery. Most of the time, the impact is manageable, but when you combine high temperatures with highway speeds, cargo carrying, and long driving days, the effects can add up. One thing that helps is preconditioning while the vehicle is still plugged in. If you're cooling the cabin using power from the grid instead of the battery, that's energy you don't have to carry down the road with you. It's a small thing, but road trips and their schedules are often won or lost by the collection of small things. In fact, here's a small thing that is often overlooked, and that's tire pressure. This is possibly the easiest range improvement available to almost every driver. Tires naturally lose pressure over time, and many manufacturers will recommend higher pressures for fuller loads or long, high-speed travel. Many people leave for vacation without checking them at all. The result is more rolling resistance and less efficiency. So before a long road trip, check them and set them to the manufacturer's recommended pressures. Now, let's talk about the thing most people don't want to hear, but it's one of the most obvious range reducers, and that's speed. A lot of us drive faster on road trips than we do around town. The roads are open and traffic is flowing, and the purpose of a road trip is to get there, right? So before long, you're moving 10 miles per hour faster than you realized. And just like driving into the headwind, aerodynamic drag rises quickly with speed. So while the difference between 70 and 80 miles per hour may not feel dramatic from the driver's seat, it can be surprisingly expensive from an efficiency standpoint. Like always, traffic can dictate speed, so I'm not suggesting you become a rolling roadblock. But if you're trying to stretch a charging stop, speed is often one of the most powerful tools you have. And sometimes our trips take us places we don't really think about. Elevation changes can catch people off guard on a summer road trip. Most of us drive the same roads every day, so we don't think much about it. But if you're heading to the mountains or crossing a mountain pass, you could be climbing for an hour straight on roads you don't normally drive. And during that climb, your efficiency can look absolutely terrible. That's because every foot of elevation requires increased energy. The car isn't just pushing through the air anymore, it's lifting thousands of pounds uphill. The good news is that, unlike a headwind or a roof box, some of that energy isn't gone forever. So when you come back down the mountain, regenerative braking allows the car to recover some of it. It doesn't recover all of it, but enough that the return trip often looks very different from that climb. The mistake some newer EV owners make is watching the range estimate fall during a long climb and assuming something is wrong. In most cases, the car is simply just doing the work required to move itself uphill. So if your summer road trip includes significant elevation changes, expect higher consumption on the way up, some recovery on the way down, and don't be surprised if the range estimate swings more than you're used to seeing. The other tip you can use is, if you're starting your return drive from a higher elevation, leave a little space in the battery. That way, your regeneration has somewhere to put the energy while you're recouping it going downhill for an hour. Let's face it, a lot of us choose road tripping because it can be so convenient. You can bring so much stuff that would be a pain to bring through an airport or to rebuy when you get there. But cargo is where summer road trips start looking very different from everyday driving. Extra luggage inside the vehicle has some effect on range, but honestly, it's usually not the biggest problem. The bigger issue is what happens when cargo moves outside the vehicle. So roof boxes, kayaks, cargo carriers, anything that disrupts airflow increases drag. The vehicle was designed to move through the air in a very specific shape. So once you start attaching things to the roof, you're changing that shape. And the efficiency penalty can be pretty significant. A hitch-mounted bike rack usually performs better than a roof-mounted rack since the bikes are sitting in a less disruptive area of airflow. They're still affecting efficiency, but just not as dramatically. That's one reason I generally prefer hitch-mounted carriers when possible, but if you can keep cargo inside the vehicle, that's usually better. If your vehicle has a frunk or underfloor storage, try to use it. The more you can pack within the original shape of the vehicle, the happier your efficiency tends to be. So what happens when you can't fit it all inside? Well, when all else fails, then there's towing. Towing is its own category because once you hook a trailer to an EV, you're essentially creating an entirely different range calculation. The first time many EV owners tow something substantial, they're shocked by the impact on range. That's because towing asks the vehicle to do a lot more work and it disrupts the designed airflow. That's a double whammy. So the key here is planning. Don't use your normal charging assumptions or your normal buffers. Build a plan specifically for towing, and remember that most fast chargers are not built for easy pull-through for vehicles with trailers, so you'll also likely have to decouple to charge, which can add some time. So, can I make it? Well, most EV owners spend a lot of time thinking about battery size, and that's understandable. Battery size determines the maximum range your vehicle can achieve. But on a summer road trip, the range you actually get depends on much more than the battery. Weather, speed, elevation, cargo, and towing all matter a lot more. The drivers who consistently have the best road trip experiences aren't necessarily the ones with the biggest batteries. They're usually the ones who understand the conditions they're driving in. And once you're out on the road, it's not the battery, but the conditions that will change. Understanding those conditions is often the difference between arriving at your next charging stop relaxed or arriving there doing some math. This is Wrench and Reason, where we explain how modern cars actually work. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.